What's up guys, Vulkan here, and today we are tackling one of the most asked questions that I've gotten so far, and that is which territory cards should I choose? Now there are some cards to avoid and some cards that you should pick every single time. Now there is also an art to choosing cards, we'll talk about that as well, but let's cover a little bit of backstory for those who don't know what we're talking about. So in New World, whenever you level up a territory, you're given the choice of 3 cards that are going to increase your effectiveness within that territory. Now these do not spread across territories, so knowing which zones you're going to do what in makes this much more effective. So for instance, if you plan on doing all of your crafting and gathering in Monarch's Bluffs, then you want to take all of the crafting and gathering bonuses when you level up in that area. So don't just have like a set idea of always choosing one or the other. You need to be flexible and understand what zones do what and what cards you need to pick in those zones. So there is kind of a higher ranking for territory cards, and there are some that you should choose regardless of what is displayed. So the first one is storage. New World is a game where you collect and you hold on to tons of stuff. So being able to have more storage in the shed is literally priceless. Take this card every time it comes up. Storage is your #1 pick every single time. Now, next one is crafting and trading tax. Now, this one is really kind of personal to me. I love crafting. I love the trading game. Those are like my 2 big things that I plan to do in New World. So these are incredibly important, especially in starting zones, because that's where most of the people are going to be trading until they reach late game, where obviously the trading post is going to move to end game zones where you'll have all of the higher level players over there buying and selling higher level things. So it's highly recommended that you take both crafting and trading tax cards when you can at level up in those starting areas and then towards the late game. So also make sure that you move these choices around a little bit, right? You don't want to continue taking the exact same card every single time in a row, because then that value will diminish over time. So if you take a crafting card one time, then take the trading another, for instance, that will help avoid the penalty system. So just make sure to avoid spamming the same card over and over again. Now there is one card that I do want to talk about, and that's the experience gain card. So this card is fantastic for leveling, right? You take it all the time, you're going to get some big increases to your experience gain. But the issue is this card becomes useless at level 60 because you no longer gain experience. So what we're going to be doing here is choosing cards that will have a strong return on investment, and that's going to help us out through our entire New World adventure rather than just helping out for the leveling portion. Now, if you're someone who wants to split these up, then you can do that. You can split up your bonuses for a leveling zone where you take that XP gain every time versus your housing zone where you want to take a lot of the house related territory bonuses because you will own a home there. You can absolutely do that. So instead of storage or house items, take XP gain, get a bump in those regions and start leveling up more quickly. So as you can see, I mean, we're already a couple minutes into this video and there's caveats and there's differences to choosing cards. New World does a good job at giving players different ways to play the game. So we're going to be going through this next portion because I did mention that certain zones are better at certain things. We're going to talk about that a little bit more and talk about which zone is likely going to benefit from certain cards more than others. But please remember, this list is 100% my opinion. And as with all things in New World, you need to choose things that best fit your playstyle. The way I play the game is not going to be exactly like the way you play the game and vice versa. These are just ideas for those who want a little bit more direction. And on top of that, make sure to put house items near the top of your priority list in whatever zone you plan to have a house in, like we just mentioned, because those are, again, very important. So let's talk about the starting zones. First Light, Monarch's Bluffs, Everfall, Windsward. Because these starting zones are where most players will spend a huge chunk of their time, their crafting fees, their trade post activity, gathering is really heavy here. Any company who's going to take these areas will most likely crank up the taxes on all of those things to generate some strong income very early. So to avoid being completely ransacked, you need to focus on trading tax, crafting fees, and gathering speed cards in these starting areas. Moving north, we have Brightwood. So Brightwood is where things start to focus less on trading and more on things like faction missions, crafting to get those town project boards done. So I would recommend here you take faction token increase cards, territory standing cards, and crafting fee cards. Moving over to Weaver's Fin, again, this is not going to be a huge trade hub. So lowering your crafting fees, faction tokens, and increasing your territory standing is also recommended. Then moving up into Morningdale, you want to focus on things like gathering speed and crafting fees. There's some high-end resources here, so gathering speed is going to be really important to be able to cut those things down quickly. Then we have Cutlass Keys. This is a fantastic region for silver and gold. So I plan on taking gathering speed and then slotting in some faction tokens and some territory standing cards here. But really, there's a lot of strong routes down here, so I'm going to be spending a lot of time gathering there. Then we have the Restless Shore. Again, focus on things like your faction tokens. Here in these higher level zones, you're going to get more faction tokens per mission, so there's more value in doing them. Taking faction tokens in your early zones aren't going to really have as much value because you won't get as many tokens per turn in. So doing those later on is going to give you more bang for your buck, and they're going to be worth more. So Restless Shore, faction tokens, gathering speed, territory standing, and any housing items that you would like to pick up. Then we have Reekwater. So for me, this is going to be big on trading fees, crafting fees, gathering speed, and territory standing. I definitely want to lower those as much as possible because they're going to be hit pretty heavy from my experience. Then we have Ebon Scale. Again, high-end, top-end zone, very high-end materials. You have orichalcum out there, so you want things like gathering speed, crafting fees, property taxes. A lot of people really like housing out in Ebon Scale because it has that Eastern theme to it. So being able to lower your property tax, increase your housing items, and all of that is going to be critical. So make sure you choose wisely. Now, like I said, obviously all of these are personal opinion. They're not going to be the right ones for some people, maybe not even the right ones for most people. But just remember the big rule of thumb, look at each zone, understand the resources that are available there, understand the quests that you'll be running, and the general purpose of that area. All of these things are going to play in what cards you should take and what bonuses will make your life easier. So guys, I hope this video helped you guys understand territory standing, how that all works, the bonuses that come with it, and gave you a little bit of an idea of what ones you should really consider for each zone. I know it's very confusing and it's so personal in terms of choice. So let's go ahead and let's get a comment section below. What cards do you plan on running for? What priority matrix do you want to follow? And thank you guys so much for all the support for New World. It's been phenomenal. We're getting closer to the launch and it's going to be one hell of a time. So thank you guys so much. This has been Vulkan and I will talk to you guys next time.